Welcome to the BullensMagic podcast. This is season 1, episode number 5. So we're getting through this as we're into week 5 of the season. I'm Seth Dussault, alongside of me, my co-host Rebecca Osowski. Rebecca, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You know what? It's game day. We love game day here in Westfield, and home game day, of course, is the important part as we get ready for episode 5. And who we're going to talk to today is not starting tonight, but he's been our Sunday guy. He leads the league with a 4-0 record. Michael Aceto from Trinity College. Rebecca, you've gotten to see him pitch as much as anybody. He's just been consistent.
Yeah, I always have faith in him when he comes out on the mound, and I think that he does a really good job. He talks about it in our interview, keeping the ball in play, and I think he does a really good job of that, moves the game along, and gives our guys on the offensive side of the ball time to do what they do best and score some runs.
Well, certainly needed him to get that win that he got us on Sunday to get us off the schneid of a losing streak that he slammed the door on. Like I said, leading the league in wins. Hopefully he can continue to do that. It seems like he's on the right track. So without further ado, Michael Aceto will join us here on the BullensMagic podcast. Joining us now on the BullensMagic podcast, Michael Aceto, the pitcher for the Westfield Starfires. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good. How's everyone?
I have no complaints. There's a baseball game to be played later today, after all. So let's start, and let's start with the start. How did you first get into playing ball?
My family's always been full of athletes, so it wasn't necessarily baseball that was first put at me, but it seemed to be what I was drawn to. My parents claim the first word I said was a word for ball. I'm not exactly sure what the word was. It wasn't ball, but I would pick up a ball and say this word that would mean ball and just start throwing it around before I could even walk. So that I kind of think it's always been part of my life. I would just go outside and hit little bottle caps with my dad when I was younger, and that kind of all started it. So from a very young age, and then continued through.
Growing up, was there a specific person that you tried to model your game after?
Definitely Dustin Pedroia. Not necessarily his game play, but just the way he went after the game, like his hard work. And since he was one of the smaller players in the league, he had to work extra hard to really prove his spot. So I think definitely Dustin Pedroia.
Now, Pedroia was a second baseman. You're a pitcher. Yeah. Although you talked about, throwing the ball around as a little kid. How did you specifically get into to pitching?
I was always a two-way throughout like my baseball career, and I didn't really have many college offers going out of high school. So especially as a two-way. So the ones that I did get were for pitching, and I actually did not go to Trinity as a baseball player. I walked on this year. So that as a pitcher, you didn't want me as a two-way. So it's kind of forced my way as a pitcher, and not necessarily a choice, but not something I'm upset with. I've always been a pitcher. I've always liked pitching, and I think pitching has always been my stronger part of my play. So just happened to be that way.
And you mentioned Dustin Pedroia. In addition to him, was there anybody else that you enjoyed watching or that was your favorite in particular growing up?
I'm a big Red Sox fan, big Red Sox family. So I'd have to say David Ortiz. So seeing him the other day before my start, throwing out the first pitch was really something.
Yeah, I was about to say, you went out on the mound on Sunday out in Brockton, and David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Keith Folk, and facing their kids. What was that like for you, like seeing those names and obviously having success because you were the winning pitcher that day?
Yeah, it was quite surreal. I mean, this league has brought a lot of things to my baseball career that I never thought would be possible. I mean, it's crazy playing in front of the types of fans we have and real stadiums like we do. And on top of all that, playing these incredible baseball players' children was wild. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it. I had no expectations of something like that happening. So quite amazing.
And you are a Red Sox fan. I'm sure you know by now that we will be playing on Nesson later in July. What is that experience going to be like for you? What does that mean to you?
I mean, I'm just happy to be part of all this. Like I said before, I've never really been part of a league like this where it's so involved with the community, and you guys do a great job of putting us out there and showing our faces all around as much as you can. So it's going to be awesome. Even if I'm not playing it, even if I'm not pitching, I'm just happy to be there, happy to be able to be part of something like that.
One of the recent community events that the Starfires took part in was going to Barnes Air National Guard Base, get to see the fighter jets, talk to some of the pilots, debut the new jerseys that we're going to be wearing this Friday for a military appreciation game. What was that experience like for you and for the team? And how much are you looking forward to donning those new uniforms in a game? Because those things are unbelievable.
Yeah, the jerseys are awesome. I'm really excited. I've never really had a full jersey with one color going on, and I really like it. It looks awesome. But the trip was, I mean, my sister is a huge Top Gun fan, actually. So I know I've seen all the movies, and it's literally exactly what it looks like on the screen, but obviously quite a lot more loud. It was cool though. The planes were awesome. The guys were really nice and taught us a lot about their day-to-day job as a flight, as someone going up in those planes and showing us around and everything. It was really cool. Very interesting.
And you've talked a lot about what being on the Starfires has meant to you this summer. How did you originally get involved with the organization?
So it actually was like a last minute plan for me. I didn't really have much of a summer ball plan. And one of my teammates at Trinity, Sam Craven, who's on the team, first signed early in the season. So he knew he was coming here. And my coach later on mentioned that they needed more pitching. And I was willing to do really anything at that point. This was a much better option than anything I could ask for in the Futures League, which is a great league. I already knew that. So I was more than excited to get to be part of the Starfire.
You've kind of become our Sunday starter. You've made 4 starts. They've all been Sundays. You're 4-0.
Yep.
What's worked for you this year? I mean, you're off to as fantastic a start as maybe any pitcher in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to my defense and especially my offense. I mean, I've gotten away with giving up a couple more runs than maybe other starters gotten away with, just because my offense has carried the game. I mean, for example, last weekend, I pitched solid, a lot of strikes, which is what I give myself credit for. I'm a guy who pitches to strikes, not many strikeouts, a lot of contact. But the offense really carried us through that win and shut the door on them after just putting up some big numbers. But I really just go out there and try to throw a lot of strikes, give my defense a chance, and keep the game moving along, because I feel like once the game's moving along, we get into a groove. It really helps as a team.
And you brought up Sam and how he's also a part of this team. What has it been like playing with him both at Trinity and here? And did having him on the Starfires kind of help like with familiarity a bit coming in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's definitely one of my closer friends on my team at school. So it definitely helps to have him along here. Yeah, he's been great out of the pen too. He's shown his skills in the mound, and yeah, we've got along with everyone else on the team very well. I feel like that's one of the reasons why we're playing so well, is we got a really tightly knit group here, and no problems at all in the locker room. So I think that definitely is part of it.
I was going to say the experience that I've had getting to travel with you guys as much as I have this year, with things getting back to normal, has been that it's such a tight knit group. What about this group of guys makes it like that?
I think it's just the personalities on the team. I mean, not everyone is loud and rambunctious, but everyone seems to find their role and fit in, and everyone's accepting of everyone else. There's no big egos that really carry everyone else around. I mean, we just fit together. We worked well as a team. We know that if you're not playing one day, that someone is going to fill your spot just as well. and we have a lot of lineups. I mean, you guys have seen it. I don't know if we've had the same batting order for 2 games in a row. It gets mixed matched all the time, and it really shows that we can put whoever we want out there and still win a ball game. So I think that's part of it. Everyone knows that everyone's talented and can fill a role when needed to.
I've also noticed that camaraderie, and it's also something that I enjoy watching. Is there one person or a few people that you've kind of clung to and that have maybe taken you under their wing or taught you something that you'll take back to Trinity with you?
Yeah, I mean, as a pitcher, we spend a lot of time in the bullpen, so just hanging out with a bunch of the pitchers. So I can't necessarily say a position player because I can't really relate in that way. But I mean, I would say some of the older kids in the team, like Kevin Hummer and Shane Audette, have shown me a lot of stuff. I mean, even the younger players who everyone's learning from each other. So it's not necessarily 1 or 2 guys that really show the way. I mean, they definitely help because with experience and being in a league like this prior to this year, but everyone's giving help to everyone else, showing mixing pitch grips, asking questions, everyone, even the younger guys can teach some of the older guys some things at some point. It's not necessarily the older guys just teaching the younger guys, but yeah, I mean, all around great guys. Everyone's helping each other out. So
You talk about, relating to the pitchers. I would imagine you have a good relationship with your catchers as well, though.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a group of 4 guys: Jackson Hornung, Gunnar Johnson, Jack Power, Nolan Florence. All of them seem to be able to play behind the plate, able to play other positions in the field, whether they're in the lineup just as the DH or even if they're just there as an option off the bench. But they've all seemed to work well with the pitching staff. What is it about those 4 guys that makes them so effective as players, both offensively and defensively?
Well, I mean, I think as you've seen, they're all great players and they're all great competitors. I think they're really just going out there trying to do anything they can to win a ball game. So they're feeling it out what we're like in the bullpen, seeing what's on and what's not. And they're all really smart behind the plate. So they're calling a good game and making sure to keep the hitters off balance and not letting them know what's coming next. So they're also all great options. It's whenever you're getting a start. I told coach, he asked me last weekend or this past start, he asked me who I wanted behind the plate. And I was like, I told him honestly, I was, coach, I'll take whoever you want to put back there because I have no problem with any one of these guys. So it's really not, you don't get any downside to any of the catchers. I mean, it's great to have 4 guys that can really do their job like they can.
And you did mention that we do mix match that lineup and you can put anybody in and they'll succeed. Do you believe in BullensMagic, and how has that impacted your time and the Starfires in general?
It's funny you mention that because every game we play away, we'll talk about maybe how the stadium is packed with people or whatever it is. They have 20,000 seats or whatever, but they don't have BullensMagic. So we always mention that whenever we're playing away. And I do believe in BullensMagic. It's definitely a thing.
Other than the BullensMagic, what are some of your favorite things about Westfield so far?
Let's see. I mean, we've kind of, I'm a commuter, so I'm not staying in Westfield, so I don't spend that much time around there. But I mean, we've gone around to get some food at some places with a couple of guys and hang out. It's a nice town. I mean, it's cool to be in a new place like that, where you're spending a lot of time in somewhere that's not your hometown or where you go to school. So I don't know. It's a nice town. It's cool to be around something new like that.
Do you overall have a favorite memory from this season so far? I know it's still pretty early, but is there one specific thing that sticks out to you?
Probably my first start, just because going into this season, I didn't really know what to expect. And my first start was at Nashua, who was in fantastic stadium. And I had no idea I was going to be pitching at a field like something like that. So that was quite a crazy experience. Just all around very different than what I've been used to. So I would probably say my first start. Yeah.
One other thing that's different, obviously, going from NCAA to college summer ball is opposing hitters using wood bats as opposed to aluminum. Uh, it's a thing that gets talked about, the difference. As a pitcher, do you notice it? Is it easier for you that guys are swinging wood as opposed to aluminum? Does it actually maybe make things more difficult in certain ways?
As a pitcher like me, I mean, I'm not a flamethrower. I'm more of a precision guy looking to spot pitches up and work around and keep hitters off balance. So in my opinion, especially with the hitters we have in this league where everyone's talented, you're not going to get a weak link on a team. It's going to be all guys who can really swing the bat. I personally don't think there's that much of a difference just because I'm not going to go around breaking bats left and right because I don't throw that hard. So, I mean, personally, not really. So I don't mind the transition from metal to wood, but occasionally you'll get an inside fastball that a kid might be able to put over the left side of the infield or right side if he's a lefty and get a single out of it. But with wood bat, it's not going to work that well. It might snap. But yeah, not that much of a difference in my opinion.
In your first season at Trinity, you were successful. You're 4-0 here. You've been successful. What has it meant to you to continue that success here and help the overall team win some games?
It's been awesome. I mean, kind of just carried it along with the season, trying to just do my job. As I mentioned before, like I just go out there and try to throw as many strikes as I can and keep the ball in play because I know as a used to be position player, I would hate to see when games would be stretched out with a walk and then another walk and maybe a hit or pass ball, all these things as a fielder that you're not looking forward to. So I really try to make it my job to keep the ball in play, throw a lot of strikes and get a lot of outs with contact, which I think really helps move the game along.
Can't talk about this team without talking about the favorite game of everybody on this team on the bus ride. Everybody, it seems like, is playing Mafia. We've talked to some of the other guys about it. What's your kind of strategy and approaches in that game when you're playing to try to win?
I'm not a big Mafia player, actually. On the bus, I really usually I'll just put in my headphones and immediately fall asleep. So I'm not the biggest Mafia player, but I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how to answer that question, honestly. There's some guys like DJ who sorry about that. Who really get into it and they love the action of the game, especially narrating. And I'm more of a bystander, I should say, as much as not much of a player.
It's fair. Last one. What's a skill that you have, or maybe a fun fact about you people don't know, something they wouldn't get just from watching you play as a baseball player?
Let's see. I was a 2-sport captain in high school. I actually played soccer as well. And we were pretty solid. I mean, we made it to the state semifinals my senior year. I'd say probably soccer captain, big soccer player in high school.
What position did you play?
Center back. So middle defense.
That absolutely tracks as a pitcher, that you would be center back. That kind of a transition makes perfect sense. Mike, it's been fantastic talking to you. Great having you on the podcast. Great having you on the pitching staff as well, obviously, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the mound again later on this week.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mike.